left.
Yep. And if anything needs to come back, we can bring it back.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we. It's been a while since I took anything out that was a mistake. It tended to go much more the other direction. It could go away and leave and stay gone.
Yep.
But yeah. So last nanosecond kinds of stuff. Just to mention to you. I'm checking about zooming. Is that about reasonable? I think.
Sure.
Okay, cool. But Steve is here. Our meeting is
already there.
Our meeting is complete.
Already?
I will sign you in as an attendee, and we'll be off. But yeah, so Steve, thank you for continued work that you do making stuff happen, and that's always very helpful. I was approving stuff in the GitHub yesterday, and I think you were merging stuff, and I was approving stuff. So I approved things, and then when I got towards the end of the list, all of a sudden, all I could do was comment. I couldn't approve them because they'd already been merged. So you were doing the right thing, and good job. But
yeah, there's only one pull request left, which is actually one from Jérôme that I took.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So I need Jérôme to.
I need to review it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I will let people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I am just super late on reviewing the PR from Steve. Sorry, Steve.
It might be that I should not say this in front of Robert, but I'm really impressed at how on the ball we have been for the past 2 or 3 months as far as making progress and being able to say, oh, now we're going to do this and have that happen. So I'm going to declare that nobody is officially late at this point. Robert may have new and exciting ideas about reasonable goals for us, but we've made a lot of progress already.
Yeah, we have almost 2 documents that are ready for last call and then review.
So I am mildly waiting for a guy whose name was not there. A guy named Quentin Lowe who contacted me.
You're sharing your screen.
Yeah, I was
all your emails.
Yeah, I was just doing the. I was just checking to see what the name was. He contacted me and said he was interested in attending and asked for pointers and things like that. So I had replied to him, but and pointed him in the direction of a data tracker ID and things like that. But we might see that person on. And where do we have participants? Theoretically, we have a Dave and a Michael.
Mm-hmm.
But we can give that a minute to see if anybody else needs to join. We have an excellent quorum to make progress, though. That's for
We
sure.
should call out at this point that the reminder that the meetings are being recorded and will appear on YouTube.
Yes. And this is actually if we kind of go through the thing. So recorded will appear at YouTube, and this is about the time we get to about the time that we get to saying there is a note well that matters, and please be aware of that. Also, the being kind to each other. We had previous meeting minutes, and if I clicked on that, that would get me to. Yeah, what? Did we have anything that people needed to make suggested changes for the previous meeting? Do we have suggested changes to the previous meeting minute notes?
Not on my side. This is fine.
Okay. I thought they were reasonable because I typed them. But that's not the kind of review we were shooting for, of course. Oh yeah, cool. Everybody's popping in. Cool.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of administrative work that we need to do to, like, they're still currently marked draft and whatnot. So
Yes, and we have just cleverly started showing up with. We have just cleverly started showing up with putting things, being more careful about uploading to the data tracker each time. So at least I did that. But yeah, Robert, do we actually mark those as final in the data
whatever
tracker?
the last version is what will be preserved as the actual.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a lot more. I have a lot more experience dealing with minutes for the in-person meetings, where the secretariat is a lot more involved in care and feeding of that. So yes, administrivia is good, but we think meeting minutes are okay.
Yes.
Okay, and those have been uploaded. So cool. And we have working group documents. And I want to also say something nice about Robert going through the agenda format that we've been using. I told Robert I've been cutting out stuff about every 6 months since I joined as chair, but there was still stuff that could be cut out, and Robert has cut that out, so that's nice. So if we were looking at our working group documents, that's always a good thing to click on. So we have a new tags-16. We have a Codec-14, which is on the agenda for today. And we have an expired draft about chapter codecs that we have. That's on the agenda also, just as a what are we going to do with that kind of thing. So if that gets us to roughly going through the working documents, Steve did a great job of getting a whole bunch of PRs merged and submitting -16 for this draft. I reviewed the changes from -15. I'm happy. I started a 2-week working group last call, so and sometime around the second Monday in May, I guess. I had a question and this is in general, is there a good reason for us to extend working group last call by another week or two? So for implementers who don't normally participate in the working group to review the specification. And if that is a good thing to do, is us publishing a new version and saying this is in working group last call now, is that enough notice to people, or do we need to reach out somewhere?
I guess that's more for Robert because, I mean, for me, it doesn't really matter how long we wait.
Yeah. Well, so this is not the last time anybody looks at the draft. It's the first time we've asked everybody in the working group to look at the draft. Like,
So I guess a different way to phrase the question that might be more informative. Is there an implementation community that would not have noticed any changes until 16 is published? And do they need time to notice? Is there anyone you're waiting for feedback from? If the answer is no, if you've already got close connections with anybody that you would be getting feedback from, then there's no benefit to extending the last call.
right.
So for me, it is only for the time code part in Matroska I need to review, but I don't need a lot of time.
Yeah, but that's
Cool.
for the codec, but
Yeah.
for the things.
Yes, yeah, right.
But the
Sorry.
codec I'll probably publish not today, but in the coming days. I will discuss that after. But like you say, community, there could be people at FMPEG, and there is Moritz who does NKV merge. That's basically the two communities or people that could be interested. I think Moritz already knows these documents. He wrote a part of them, knows them very well. And especially for tags, it's not something very widely used. So and especially also for FMPEG, they do write some tags, but they write their own tags or just take from one format and just copy to the other without there's no really any processing involved. So at least for the text document, I don't think it's a big deal. The one thing I'm just thinking now, the new EBU R128, so the loudness tags. There was a discussion, proposal from some guy. I didn't know anything about it, so I had to read a lot. And after some back and forth, I realized, so last weekend, that let's look at how people do it elsewhere. And I found, I think, BWF or BMF, the professional broadcast AVI formats, which do have the professional values in their formats that they probably use daily. And and basically they have like 5 tags with a short description. And that's basically what I was actually starting to lean to. So I think it's the right thing. It's the right way. It's just the equivalent in our own format. Maybe we can contact the people who originally asked for that kind of tag to be present, because the outcome is not what they proposed first. On the other hand, I've been waiting already for like 2 months for some feedback, and the people just never reply. So I don't think it's going to make a big difference, but I'm a lot more confident now that what we have is correct, because that's basically what exists in the professional world.
Yeah. So, and I was just making sure that I knew what we were talking about, but this is what we're talking, right? The EBU or 128 loudness.
Yeah.
And all this was added in -16.
Yes.
So that seemed plausible to me. So cool. And I think Robert is good at translating whatever I'm saying into English, but I think that what I'm taking away is the people who don't participate in the working group ordinarily, they do have the opportunity to provide input once the specification leaves the working group with publication requested, so that after we request publication, it goes out for IETF last call, and people who don't notice usually have an opportunity to notice then. Is that about right, Robert?
Yep. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm not hearing that there's a great deal of return on investment for delaying. We should just use the regular time frames.
I remember this is something we talked about on maybe on the Matroska draft, the base draft, but that's been a while. So I was trying to remember. I was really just asking if there was anything that anybody we needed to reach out to out of process. So so the answer is no reason to. And so we have that, and that would get us to CELLAR Codec. I had 3 topics that are still open in Spencer's mind on here. Steve, have you had a chance to look at my reply back?
No, I just saw it just before
Yeah.
the meeting. I didn't read it. But yeah, basically that's the reason I said I was going to send a new draft soon, but then I realized I forgot to answer your previous email. And so I did that, and there was some pull requests and some open answers. So we need to go through that, but hopefully by the end of the week it should be done.
Yeah. So there are 3 things, and just to maximize the conversation time that we've got here, that which one am I looking at? This is the complete one. Yeah. This is the end of my thread. Yeah, this is the end of my thread. So let's see. Yeah. I need to do this slightly more frequently. But okay, so this is the one that this is my last few points. One was for can you guys probably can't see that. Let me pull that up.
I do. I can read.
I'm older than you are.
I do have glasses.
But so this was basically thank you for explaining to me. And Robert, this is a general comment that's come up a couple of times in both this one and in tags. But basically, we say should because we don't want to suddenly invalidate valid coders. So that gets you into a situation where you say, this really should be there, but it might not be. And if it's not, because coders haven't been doing it forever, and if it's not there, you're going to have to come up with a way to deal without it. So that's kind of what I'm talking with Steve on several of these, both on tags and on codecs, where basically we're saying, if you were saying a good coder ought to be doing this, a good coder needs to be prepared to get something that's not from a current good coder, and basically trying to be clear about how we handle that. Robert
Yeah,
has
just to add on that, basically there are two cases. There are the case where the original spec was already properly defined. In that case, files that were created the wrong way, we assume they were not. For other cases where the spec was not properly defined and people would do whatever they want, then we have to be prepared. Like, for example, some codecs have different names for exactly the same things, things like that. It was a bit like the fonts issue. Um, Basically, we tell people that even though the right way is to do that way, because in the past it wasn't that clear, they need to be prepared for different ways.
So, Robert, this is what popped up for this is the VP9 section of my questions. That what popped up here was that basically coders ought to do this. We're not going to say must because there's a adoption curve that we're not quite ready to invalidate people yet. We explain why you would want to do it. We explain why we don't think it's a hard requirement for VP9. And we say if you don't get it, it's possible to reconstruct it from the first frame. I think that is a really good poster child for the conversation that Steve and I have been having more broadly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's typically because VP9, at first, the files you could file from the actual code from Google and that been spread, and for a long time didn't have the codec private because it was just 8-bit regular, just like VP8, so nobody would care. And then they added 10 bits and they added the codec private, except the old files didn't have it. So, and then people, I don't know, but maybe there's still people continuing to write files without it because it plays fine in web browsers and video players because they're ready to handle without the codec private.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's good for me to keep in mind is that this is kind of the opposite of what working group where we can say to do the right thing, but that doesn't mean that everybody who implements will go out and implement what we said the right thing to do was in 6 weeks. So that's a balancing act that we do in this working group that turns out to be pretty important. So anyway, so I've got a new and improved suggestion here, which I could let Steve look at, and of course everybody, but not asking for us to process that on the call. And this one here, this is subtitles, under subtitles. That again, this is the this is a should recommended conversation. This is Steve has been getting smarter about been getting smarter about not just describing the format, but describing how that works for people who write it and people who read it. And I'm catching up with Steve on that. So we said basically encoders should do this. That is a good thing for a coder to do, but recognize that not all encoders do this. And this is a this is an in general rule of thumb. What was the
Yeah, in this case,
this is a rule
remember,
of thumb.
basically we're explaining how people should describe their codec mapping when they will do their own in the future. And basically there's a balance between what's in the source format and what you put inside the Matroska size, so the container, and what you keep on your own format. And sometimes, most of the time, actually, you keep the original bitstream exactly the same way because there's already code that can handle the bitstream. You don't want 10 versions for each container, but that means you have redundant information, etc. So that's what most people do. It's bad because you're wasting space. And so for when you have a format that's simpler, basically a text-based format, it's easier to remove things that are already found in the container. But it depends how difficult you want to make the decoder, that depending if it comes from Matroska or Stream, like RTP, or if it comes from MP4 or I don't know, something else. If every container or source has a different way to handle it, it becomes complicated. On the other hand, it's just text processing, so it's considered easier. So yeah, there's always a balance, and I don't think it's up to us to tell you have to do it that way and there's no other way.
Yeah. Robert and I have experience that overlaps, but not completely, with should recommended language in specifications. What certainly for me, what I'm usually trying to avoid is that we say, this is the right thing to do, except we know some people aren't going to do it. So there are specifications where that shows up as a should. And I think I was certainly trying to shoot for higher than that in other working groups. But I don't mean to speak for Robert's experience, but that I think that at least some of what I was describing was things that Robert had visibility to as well. But so, for the thing I've been asking for on tags and on codecs, was basically, this is the right thing to do, but there may be a good reason why you wouldn't do it. So how would someone reading the specification know whether they give them a good reason other than just it's BCP 14 language? Give them a better reason than that. David, you are in queue, and would you may we insert you? And do you know how to do that?
I think that he's just learning the Miyako UI. There's been a bunch
Yeah.
press go by. So let's just move on. David, if you've got, if you need any help, ask for it in chat, please.
That also works. Absolutely. So, and then there were a couple of these where Steve and I talked and explained to me that we did not need a change that I was asking for. And the third one was in security considerations. Yeah. And this turned out to be a more complicated discussion than it needed to be. The original text says the mandatory code private may be missing. And I was kind of like, I don't know what those words mean. So I talked with Steve for a while, and things that are should be there but might not be are not in my mind are not mandatory. They're not must. They're not must. They're not shall in BCP 14 language. So just taking out the word mandatory there was really all I was asking for, and that seemed a better solution than any of the, customary. It's like that was a fascinating conversation, but we don't need to do that. So if we just
But
take out mandatory,
does removing the word include the known? Because you could have basically for every codec, we decided that there's an initialism attribute that needs to be defined. It can be known, meaning there is no codec private at all. So when you remove what I call the mandatory, so that means when it's not known, N-O-N-E, do you think that sentence include the fact that if it's known, then it's missing, but it's okay because it doesn't exist? If you think that's correct,
that is the kind of thing that I think is helpful to say in the specification. So that,
you mean be more specific, and if it's known, then it's okay if it's missing, and if it's not known, then it could be missing, and that you have to handle it this or that way.
yeah. We have this idea at the IETF that you are strict in what you send and liberal in what you receive. But CELLAR kind of takes that to the next level because somebody might have encoded this stuff 10 years ago, but it's like, but the player has to figure out what to do with it now, with no potential to go back and say, I don't understand what you're doing here. So that's a different kind of a world it was a different kind of world for me than a lot of the things I've worked on at the IETF, where it's two ends of a communication channel, and I could say, I don't understand, and you would say, oh, try this.
So I think I just heard agreement, Spencer, between Spencer and Steve on adding a little bit more than what Spencer proposes with just removing the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard what Steve said should translate into text fairly easily.
Okay,
yeah.
And now we have the video. I can go back and check again what I said.
Yes, we can.
So Spencer, time check. We're a little bit past halfway through our time.
So the answer here, and this is why we need two chairs. I think we're good, but it's always good to ask if we're good. So Steve, sorry.
You have the caps lock.
So the only other question that I had on Codecs was, I've already pulled the trigger for working group last call on tags. Is there a reason for us to do these in parallel? Is there a reason for us to do these serially? It sounds like we are not very far away from being able to
relate to each other, so we can do it in parallel.
My question was basically, if we get comments, so publication requested, people, IETF reviewers start looking at this. our area director starts looking at this, we may get comments that would affect both of the specifications. So there's a reason to do them in serially. There's a reason for us to do them in parallel, which is basically telling reviewers, oh, you should read these two together. And that way you'll be looking for consistency. Is there any strong reason for us to wait, or is there any strong reason for us to wait, or is there a strong reason for us to process in parallel?
No, they're really unrelated to each other, and
Okay.
there's really no. I don't even think they cross-reference each other. I don't think so.
Right.
So
Cool. And our last thing that I had was chapter codecs. Right now we have this specification on hold while we're finishing up tags and codecs. Is there a time when we should be planning to resume work on chapter codecs? That's the biggest.
I mean, just after these two documents are in review, I can start working on it. But from experience, once we start getting reviews from or either last call or when it's sent to the RFC editors, then it's going to be a lot of work for months or two at least. But if it's like the last time, maybe we'll wait for 6 months until they review it, so we'll see. Yeah, it's hard to predict how much time we'll need on codec and tags in the coming months. But basically, when there's some downtime from that, I will work on the chapter codecs. Basically, cleaning up. We don't have the DVD specs. Maybe we'll never get them. Probably not before we publish. But there's information online that should be sufficient to document how it's supposed to work.
Excellent. So, so that actually Robert, that gets me through what I was hoping for the documents, and that gets us to FFV1-V4. And you had a question about the tag?
Yeah, before we do that, I think Steve was just trying to answer the question I was positing about the reference to the DVD specs.
Okay, good.
My read of what's going to happen when the DVD specifications do land at NDL is that you have to show up in person at NDL and read the physical books.
Well, I expect the same thing, except we can have some people in Japan go there, and if it's allowed, take pictures, and then it will be online for anybody. So it depends the rules they have there, if it's possible or not. It would be very strange that they make the specifications public, but don't allow people to share the information. It's like it's not really public, it's just pretending. I don't think it's going to be the case, but I mean, it's the DVD people, we can expect anything.
Mm-hmm.
Robert, is the right answer for us to point this out to Oren and say, we have a specification that is going to be much easier to review in Japan than anywhere else in the world. What's a good story?
Yeah, well, real story is that if there's not a good way to get an easy free access to what's needed to understand the normative part of this document, then we'll have a problem processing this as a proposed standard anyhow.
Right.
It'll just stop. So what we should be doing is the work that Steve was pointing to see if we could either end up with somebody is publishing pictures, and that's an acceptable thing to do in the various IPR regimes that are left in the wake of the DVD form going away, or if there is a way to just state the parts of this that are needed, either here or somewhere else, in a forum whose media is freely available without stepping on any of the IPR toes.
To add on that, I think so. If the case is that you can go there and read it but cannot take pictures, then we can never reference it one way or another. It's useless to us. If it's possible to just take pictures and then put them online, or reformat and prove like OCR the document and do a proper clean version, then not only I think it's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure the people at Videoland, so people I work with, will go there. On top of that,
Actually
they
do it.
love Japan, so they will go. I know like already 2 people who would be totally down to do that and actually get the proper document done. Like when you on Linux or Mac even, and you read a DVD, for example, you're using libdvdread that are from Videoland, and libdvdnav from Videoland. And I actually worked on both libraries recently for another project. But that's basically the community that's working on open DVD reading. That's the Videoland people I work with. And I'm pretty sure that this is going to happen, because even for us, for example, one of our projects is reading DVDs through a web browser, which works. But some DVDs sometimes don't work and we don't know why. But since we don't have the actual specs, we cannot 100% tell this DVD is broken, or we don't understand why. We have had the case where we can actually tell, well, this DVD is missing pieces, so it's unreadable. In other case, we don't know. So that's very important for us to have the actual specs that we're waiting for.
Okay.
Go ahead, Robert. I'm sorry.
No, it sounds like that there is an active group that is going to be pursuing this, and we just keep waiting for input from that group. If there's anything, Steve, that we can do to help make sure that there's not 2 organizations waiting for each other in order to get this drop of these materials into this library, let us know. We can go find people in the library roles to go poke each other.
When it's actually put in the library, I don't know if there will be some news or whatever, and then we'll see what happens. It might even be there already and nobody knows. That's another possibility. Or maybe the DVD forum, or I think that's the name, just made an online promise that they will do something, and just before shutting down, and then now they shut down and they don't care.
If there's nobody left to actually do it, that's...
I have really no idea what's going to happen.
The IETF is not wild about publishing specifications that say this is how it works. Trust me, but yeah, if that's the truth, then we get to decide how hard we want to work on making something else true. But I think right now for the next meeting cycle for us, Steve reaching out to people who could help with this and then reporting back.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Excellent. Cool. And so I think now back to you, Robert.
All right. So there's one of the things I noticed was that there was easy for me to put up links to issues and PRs on the previous 3 documents. We don't have any issues or PRs right now, I guess, for the FFV1, V4 document. At least there's not a tag that I could use to make similar links.
So on the FFV1 specification repo, you mean you would like to have some tags, right?
Yes. So one of the things that's in the GitHub repo is the ability to reference document-specific PRs and issues.
Yeah, basically what Robert has done up here.
There is a V4 tag.
Okay.
So I think, do you speak of that? I put that.
That may be what I need.
I have put on the chat. There is a label V4. So this is not a tag, this is a label V4. We use that.
Okay. That was the thing I needed then. Thank you.
And if we need to fiddle something around, having a way to start with the right issues and right PRs, and then figure out how that needs to be presented is a lot easier. So cool.
All right.
For that one.
Then the other thing was just for me to get a little bit more information. There was pushback on just having the ISG tell IANA go add this deprecated name to the registry for the application /X font OTF. So a document, I think, is going to need to do this. If we don't have a natural document that's already in working group process to put this in, we can create a very small document and just run it through that would take care of putting this in the registry if we still believe that getting this into the registry is important. So I had 2 questions to inform such a documentation effort if we were to pursue it. One, is it just this one MIME type, or are there others?
As far as I know, that's the only one.
Okay. And in my initial mail to people, I think I may have confused thing. Is the thing that it should be registered as a deprecated form of font /OTF or something else?
My understanding is yes, is that because some Linux starting or used to use that name, and then Moritz added it in MKV merge because it's found on Linux. I think it's a recent addition, but it's not a proper name, so I guess it's I don't know if it's a legacy name or where it's coming from exactly.
Okay.
But it's not the proper name for the OTF fonts.
All right. I think I fully understand at this point, and I can line the right people up to make the right things happen. I will probably copy you and Steve on the rest of that conversation. I
Mhm.
expect that if anything at all is going to happen, we'll just end up needing to put in like a one-page document as a
Yeah.
draft that would just go through. And I can do the lifting for that if it turns out that that's the path that we need to take.
Cool. So you know what to do next, and you could report back.
Yeah, there'll be email. I'll
Yeah.
put it on the list. Right. It won't be until a couple of weeks from now, though.
Yeah, sure. That all makes perfect sense. Any other business?
No. I just remembered I forgot to tag the tags that I sent. Usually I tag at the same time I send the XML. I forgot, but I'll do it.
Cool.
Nothing for me.
Cool. We can point to our future meeting dates and get close to getting ready to adjourn, I think. I'm going to go. Looking at our documents previously, so the action here is this is tags. For that one, and you guys win anytime you give actions to the chairs. You know that. And for Codec, so we are. That's actually the action.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll finish the email discussions. And also action for Jérôme to review. Maybe you did already.
No, I need to review the time code
Okay.
part and so on, and a lot of the spec for sure.
Okay. Perfect. And is there anything else that does not have a? This has an action. Everything seems to have an action.
Mhm.
You guys doing okay?
Yes, for me. Okay.
Excellent.
You,
So, and I've asked Robert for him and me to just have a short chat sometime between now and our next meeting, just to make sure that Robert thinks that we're doing as well as we should be doing.
Yeah, I already sent you an email on that too, Spencer. So
Excellent, and I will read it. Excellent, cool. If there's no other business, I can give you guys 7 minutes of your day back, or back of your evenings.
You mean go to bed early?
It is always a pleasure, guys.
thank you.
Yes, sure.
Life is good.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and Robert split. Cool.